Okay, having a look at some more Unit 2 revision questions here. So we've got some sketching trig functions graphs. So we're starting with -3 cos of x over 3. So I want to first look at what my facts that I know about that graph are going to be. So my amplitude I know is going to be 3. I know that the period is going to be 2 pi on 3 because that is 2 pi and a third, sorry. So I've got 2 pi over 1/3. So that means it's going to be 6 pi because the x is being divided by 3, which is the same as being multiplied by 1/3. And I also know that it's going to be a flipped version of it because of the negative, and it's a cos shape. So I'm going to start with labeling my axes with my period there. So I've got my 6 pi, then I'd go half of that is 3 pi, half of that is 3 pi on 2, and then 3 times that will be 9 pi on 2 there. So I always go half, half times 3. Now, my cos shape would normally come down and up again, but I'm flipping it, so I'm going to start down first. So I'm going to put in my key point so I know it starts there. It's going to come through, come up to its peak, back down, and return to that -3 there. So I can draw that shape in there, which is the flipped version of my cos. The next one that I've got here is -2 sine 3x. So this time my amplitude is 2 because of the 2 there. I know it's going to be a flipped one again like the one before. And I've got 3x there, which means my period is 2 pi on 3. So I'm going to put my 2 pi on 3 there on my axes. Then I'm going to half of that is pi on 3. Half of that will be pi on 6, and 3 times that will be 3 pi on 6, which I could write as pi on 2 if I wanted to. I know it's a sine curve, and I know it's going up to 2, down to 2, but I always start at 0 for sine, but I'm going to, instead of coming up to the mountain first and down to the valley, I'm going to go valley and then mountain, because it is the flipped version of it. So I know I'm coming down, back to middle, up to my peak, and back to the start there. Now with part C, I think this of question 5, we have a phase shift. So we've got negative sign, so I like to draw in what that would be without any phase shift to start with. So the amplitude is 1, period is 2 pi. So I'm going to pop that along my axes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, there's my 2 pi, pi, pi on 2, 3 pi on 2. So my original shape is going to be that upside down sine. So I've got my starting at 0, down to the bottom of the valley, back to the start, up to the top of the mountain, back to the start there. Now I have a phase shift of 2 pi on 3. So looking at my axes, if I've got 2 pi there, 2 pi on 3 is going to be, so if I've got to go to 2/3 of pi, so here's my pi, and I know I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 there. So each third would be 2, so 2/3 would be 4. So I can move each of my points, and I have to go backwards 4 because that's a plus. So I've got to go back 4 places. So this one goes back 1, 2, 3, 4. This one goes back 1, 2, 3, 4. This goes back 1, 2, 3, 4. This one's going to go back 1, 2, 3, 4. Here 1, 2, 3, 4. And so then I can draw that new shape in, and I can keep that going if I want, depending what the question asked for that particular question, like how much of the graph that you wanted to show. So in this case, I don't think there was any stipulation. Usually it says just showing one cycle. So we've shown one cycle there, so we've shown them what is needed, and so we can keep going if we want and keep continuing that curve, But because we've shown one full cycle of it, it hasn't said that it has to be between 0 and 2 pi. In the next question, it actually has asked for between negative pi and 2 pi. So we've got two questions over here with that restriction on it. So we've got question 7, where we've got these ones with the changing of the what we're wanting to see along the axis. So I'm going to do that in the next video. So tune in if you want to see this one done.